What would be completely insane is for someone to go over all 6,000 cards in Master Duel and figure out some cheap cards for players to be able to get from the jump that would greatly help on their journey. Hi, I'm the guy that went over all 6,000 plus cards in Master Duel to make sure that you can get the cards that you want for pretty cheap early. What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is an amazing Sunday. Fun day Sunday, as I would call it, as normally I don't upload, but I thought it would be really cool to be able to give you the insight on some cards that you probably should pick up on your journey because they're incredibly cheap. Going through all 6,000 cards let me know a lot of things. One, Konami has given us a lot of crap, cards that shouldn't be in higher rarity, but in return, they actually gave us some really highly sought after cards that will help you on your journey from bronze to platinum. Of course, not only will I be divulging in everything you need to know when you jumpstart your Master Duel career, I'll be talking about why you should pick up these specific cards as well. But of course, if you want to see more content like this, perhaps the top budget decks to get you into that platinum tier, then go ahead and let me know. I'm all about not spending cash and getting as high as you want to be inside of this game, so of course I'll be able to show you. Without further ado, let's jump on in so we can start talking about these cards. Okay, so before you jumpstart your journey, there is one important rule if you are just starting. What deck should you pick? Now that is extremely important because one of the three decks is really good, where the other two, let's not talk bad about them. If these three decks were to stay exactly the same throughout the duration of Master Duel, the correct deck to pick every single time is the Synchro Structure deck. The reason why I say this is because all three structure decks are fairly mediocre, and if you have enough cred when you start off, which you should when you start off, you can pretty much build any basic, generic, just fairly good deck. And if you want me to make a video about that, obviously let me know, but that's for a different time. It'll be fairly easy for you to get out of that deck is what I'm trying to say. The reason why you pick the Synchro deck though is because the Synchro deck comes with 3 rare copies of Mystical Space Typhoon right off the bat, something that the other two structures or the other two strategies do not have, and on top of that, the other two strategies don't really have anything else to offer, at least from a competitive standpoint. But with that being said, from there, unfortunately, there are no cheap, great, generic, normal cards. From what I have scoured, every single card that would be generic and good is rare and above. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, that kind of feels like almost how it should be. Most of the time your strategy will comprise of a lot of those normal rare cards, and that's actually fairly fine. But moving on to the rares, there are some amazing cards that probably shouldn't be rare, and one of them is Torrential Tribute. Now, Torrential Tribute has worked the exact same way since Labyrinth of Nightmare. Your opponent summons a monster you don't want on the field, you flip this card face up, everything goes bye-bye. Like seriously, every single card does what my dad does when he goes for milk. He never came back for milk. Torrential Tribute is the perfect card to get if you are starting off this journey, and it just so happens to only be a rare. On top of that, a card named Needle Sealing does a similar job to Torrential Tribute, destroying all face-up monsters, which means if you play a deck that has monsters that flip face down, such as Subterror, or you're playing a deck that doesn't care about its monsters like Eldritch, this card can be really good too, as it doesn't need a monster to be summoned in order for you to flip this card face up and destroy all face-up monsters on the field. And while we're sitting here talking about monster removal, actually monster removal is fairly easy inside of this game. Compulsory Evacuation Device and Bottomless Trap Hole do become rares, but unless you're a boomer, you probably don't even know what those cards are. What's that, Sonny? Compulsory and Bottomless? Rare? Glady the Beast, best deck, let's go! From a competitive standpoint, I really would not recommend picking those cards up, but I guess you could if you really needed another good trap. But Paleozoic Dynamiscus is a rare and allows you to banish a face-up card on the field, and the best thing about it is that you only discard at the resolution of the card effect. Paleozoic Dynamiscus can also summon itself to the side of the field as not only a chump blocker, but a card for link material, synchro material, or anything else you want. Dynamiscus has been a fairly versatile Yu-Gi-Oh card, but has never taken the place of these two powerful cards. The most versatile icon in the game has to go to Quick Play Spell, and it's very fortunate that these Quick Play Spells are rare. The ever so powerful Book of Moon is not only at 3 for you Yu-Gi boomers. I know y'all excited about this one. You said what, whippersnapper? Book of Moon at 3? Ho, back in my day, we used to ruin boards with my Gladiator Beast deck. I even got my Gladiator Beast mat to Gladiator Beast on these games. Let's go! Gladiator Beast, best deck. Boomer Callie, you are going to get us in trouble. Fortunately enough, Book of Moon isn't that powerful anymore, but it's still extremely versatile. Being able to flip your opponent's monsters face down from preventing them from Xyz summoning, Synchro summoning, and Link summoning, while also still being able to be used offensively and defensively. Here's a good tip. If you activate an Ignition monster's effect, and your opponent uses a card like Skill Drain, as Chain Link 3, you could use Book of Moon flipping that monster face down, and its effect will resolve. I mean, the same can actually be said for any activated effect on the field. Even if Skill Drain is already face up, you can activate that effect and then Book of Moon the card and the effect will resolve. So, food for thought. On top of that, Forbidden Chalice is also a rare. This card is ridiculously powerful, just like Book of Moon, except this card can be used in any step of the game. That's right, including the damage step. Now stand back, Zoomer Kelly. This card's actually really important because it does negate the activation of flip effects like Raikou the Lightsworn Hunter, a card that used to be really powerful back in my day. But it can also be used on cards like Legendary Six Samurai Sheen, or what's that card that you Zoomers play? Borrowload Savage Dragon in the damage step. This card is really versatile. And Gladiator Beast best deck, right? Let's go. Gladiator Beast. Forbidden Chalice is one of the most versatile cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, one of the very few cards that can be activated in every phase of the game, seeing that it can be activated on your opponent's turn and the damage step, and it's only a rare. And the last rare card, which is actually really good, is Tenye Spirit Vishuda. Now, players may not know exactly what Tenye Spirit Vishuda does, but it can special summon itself to the side of the field by controlling no monsters or a normal monster. I know that's not exactly what it says, but that's pretty much what it says. And then if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it while you control the normal monster to spin a card on your opponent's side of the field. That's actually really good to have a monster that can summon itself for free, meaning that you can use it for whatever type of mechanic summon you want to, but also a card that can link off immediately into Monk of the Tenye, a card that just so happens to be a common and really easy to get, to allow you to get over any of your opponent's problematic threats. Now, of course, I would consider that just a little bit of an engine if you were to play Monk of the Tenye, but there's also another incredible engine that you are going to love. The Dogmatica package, for some reason, is extremely cheap. Dogmatica Ecclesia is a super rare, and you can play 1 to 3 copies inside of your Dogmatica package. But more importantly, Dogmatica Punishment is a rare, like, whoa. Hey there, Editor Callie. And yes, sometimes I do edit with my shirt off. Even though I didn't edit this video, Koval did, but one thing I want to talk to you about that I almost completely whiffed on is the pot cards. Pot of weed. That's not a card. But hey, Sabrina came prepared, so well, I guess, oh man, maybe. Pot of Duality, Pot of Desires, and Pot of Extravagance all come as super rares inside of Master Duel. Very easy and attainable cheap cards. But one card that I know the TCG players may be extremely hot over is Pot of Prosperity. This is a $140 secret rare inside of the TCG that you can get as a super rare inside of Master Duel. So another huge incentive for players to pick up this game because that's just too strong. Sabrina told me to do that because, well, it is shirt off, Callie. Now, unfortunately, Nadir Servant and Elder Entity Intis are ultra rares, and Nadir Servant is limited to 1, but Wind Adignister, Sky Pegasus, and Fossil Warrior Skull Knight are super rares, meaning that you can still get another ability off the sending cards from your deck to the graveyard with Dogmatica Punishment, as well as being able to spot removal a card on the field. Unfortunately, Konami has caught on to our antics though, and they decided to make pretty much every hand trap a high rarity ultra rare, but there are still 4 hand traps that are super rares, but there's a little bit of caution with this one. Duel and Lockbird is a super rare, but since games aren't best 2 of 3, you're gonna have to main board Duel and Lockbird, and in this particular format, I'm not sure if that's a good idea. There's also Cypher Gear Gamma, a very, very powerful hand trap that also just so happens to be a super rare. The problem is currently Gamma is semi-limited with the Master Duel list. There's gonna be this many players playing Cypher Gear Gamma unless you're on the 3 driver 1 Gamma ratio, the top tier ratio. 3 drivers, 1 Gamma. Look it up. Then there's also Skullmeister and DD Crow. Those cards are super rare, but they're also fairly situational. So you got as Konami, all of the other hand traps seem to be ultra rare, and the other hand traps you'll either nerf by your own will, or they're okay right now. In the last really good cards that I want to talk about, these are Floodgate cards, as both Gozen Match and Rivalry of the Warlords are super rares. Unfortunately, there can be only one as an ultra rare, which is kind of weird. Either make it a super rare or, well, you can't make Rivalry and Goes ultra rare. Just make them all super rares. But this is going to be really good if your deck just so happens to play all 1 attribute or all 1 type, being able to take down those multi-type or attribute type decks. And then there's also Anti-Spell Fragrance, a card that is also super rare, really powerful in this game when you want to stop a spell heavy deck. And that is all that I have for the budget cards that you should be picking up in Master Duel. These cards are extremely cheap, for the most part they're effective, and they will win you games. If you like the amazing merch that yours truly is sporting, then go to TheCaliEffect.com. I got this shirt from TheCaliEffect. That is a mat for TheCaliEffect, but more importantly, your life belongs to TheCaliEffect. Because not only will you hit that subscribe button, you'll check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.